Parkinson's disease and the dopamine disaster. Parkinson's disease is a neurodegenerative disease caused by a lack of the chemical dopamine. When cells that normally produce dopamine die, the symptoms of Parkinson's appear. Dopamine is a chemical that plays a role in many different basic functions of the brain, such as motor coordination, reward, and memory. It is also the chemical that carries signals between nerves in the brain. The loss of dopamine is caused by the gradual and progressive death of neurons. This can happen anywhere in the brain, but it is most common in the substantia nigra. This leads to less stimulation of the motor cortex and therefore a slower onset of movements. Some symptoms of Parkinson's include tremors, slowness and stiffness, impaired balance, muscle rigidity, fatigue, soft speech, handwriting problems, stoop posture, constipation, and sleep disturbances. While there is no cure for Parkinson's disease, there are many different treatment options available to those who are affected, including exercise, surgery, medication, speech therapy, physical therapy, and occupational therapy. L-DOPA is the primary treatment for Parkinson's as it is a precursor to dopamine that easily crosses the blood-brain barrier. It improves muscle rigidity and movement because it converts into dopamine and therefore is able to increase the amount of dopamine working to control movement. Dyskinesias are abnormal, involuntary, purposeless body movements that can appear as jerking, fidgeting, twisting, and turning movements. Dyskinesias are usually felt during the time you are on when you have taken your medication. This is also called peak dose dyskinesias. Dopamine agonists mimic or imitate the actions of dopamine. They can be used as an initial treatment or with L-DOPA in advanced stages of the disease. They also enhance the dopamine release and block the neurotransmitter glutamate. Some side effects of dopamine agonists include sleepiness, leg swelling, hallucinations, and obsessions with food, sex, and activities such as shopping, gambling, and internet use. Deep brain stimulation involves two procedures. During the first procedure, electrodes are inserted in a targeted area of the brain, and during the second procedure, an electrical impulse battery is placed under the collarbone or in the abdomen. The surgery was first approved for Parkinson's patients in 1997. There are generally 5 stages of Parkinson's disease. However, not everyone will experience all symptoms of the disease, and if they do, they may not be in the typical order. In stage 1, there are mild impairments with movement symptoms only occurring in one side of the body. In stage 2, the impairments are getting worse, and the movement symptoms are now occurring in both sides of the body. Stage 3 is considered mid-stage. Impairments are significant and falls are more common. In stage 4, symptoms are severe and limiting, and the person is no longer able to live alone. Stage 5 is the most advanced and debilitating stage. Around-the-clock nursing care is required for all activities. The person may be bedridden or in a wheelchair. The current theory of progression is that the early signs of Parkinson's are found in the enteric nervous system, the medulla, and the olfactory bulb. Under this theory, Parkinson's only progresses to the substantia nigra and the cortex over time. Researchers are currently focusing on the non-motor symptoms to detect PD as early as possible and stop the progression. Over the years, scientists have studied DNA from people with Parkinson's, and dozens of gene mutations have been linked to the disease. However, even when someone has a gene mutation linked to the disease, the chance of developing it is low. Genetic changes in gene LRRK2 can be found in up to 2% of people with PD. There are at least 20 different PD-associated mutations that could occur in this gene, and one of the more common ones is G2019S. Between 5 to 10% of people with Parkinson's have a mutation in gene GBA. However, because there are 380 identified mutations in this gene, and only a handful have been linked to Parkinson's, there's a fairly low chance of a mutation causing the disease. The gene SNCA ultimately produces the protein alpha-synuclein, which accumulates abnormally in the brains of people with Parkinson's and is toxic. Environment also plays a role in who has a greater chance of developing Parkinson's and who may have a lower chance of developing it. Some celebrities with Parkinson's include